Hold up. I forgot some very important details I need to insert in here about when you're having a discussion with any of these companies about buying a building. Let's take a look. And I call this Quonset Hut Plus Plus. If you travel overseas, I've done a lot of traveling over in the Middle East. Once you check out of the hotel or whatever, you get a bill, and some of those items are cost plus plus, which means there's an additional charge for whatever you might be talking about, whether it's lounge access or what have you. But anyway, there's many different strategies to get your attention on buying a building. And when I say buying a building, I mean buying the arches and the bucket of bolts. You're buying the hut and the bucket of bolts and engineered plans, usually right off the bat. Anything else is the plus plus I talked about. And let's talk about those. So are you going to do a keyway or are you going to do industrial base plates? We chose the base plates. I think it's a much more secure way to anchor this thing down. If you go that route, you got to have anchor bolts. Where are you going to get those from? Generally, the company is going to sell you those. They might sell you those too, or you can go out on the economy and buy them. It just depends on what you want to do. Window and door openings. When you start talking about windows and doors, depending on the gauge of steel that your building is, you may have to enhance the arches beside those openings, because we have, for example, 22 gauge steel that's rated for Florida because we don't have snow load. It'll handle the wind load though, but when you put a window and door in there, it changes the structural integrity of the arches. So you have to have it enforced, like we have 18 gauge pieces on either side of a window. And oh, by the way, that's also on the other side of the building as well. So don't be surprised when you start talking about putting a window and door in. Well, that changes things. And oh, by the way, every time you change something, add a window, add a door, whatever, those plans have to be re-engineered. How are you going to construct your front and back walls? We chose to frame out our front wall, but we bought steel back wall, and we also inserted a garage door. Well, guess what? You do something like that, again, those side panels have to be reinforced. I got two big tall panels. They were probably 18 foot long that I had to field cut, that are very, very strong. And I mean, I'm glad I have it because now it'll support the weight of my garage door. And also, they do sell skylights. You know, we talked about if you don't put any windows and doors in this thing on the sides and just use the front and back, how are you going to get natural light in here? They do sell skylights. Now, I have never seen any. I have never worked with them, but I do know they're out there. And if anybody's got any feedback on those, I'd appreciate it. Send me a note on Messenger and let's chat about it. I'd be curious to know how they worked out for you. So anyway, those are the important things I would think about, and continue to ask questions. Is there anything else that I'm missing before we go to final price quote? Because you got to think through all these different components, because they all matter and they all add up into that plus plus column. Remember, we're gonna get your attention with a whatever percentage off to give you the hut and the bucket of bolts, and that comes with engineered plans. Beyond that, be prepared, because it adds up, and if you have to negotiate every single one of them, that's your choice or what have you, but just be aware that those kind of things are out there that are going to add up to a number that you may not feel is reasonable. Actually, we felt the number that we ended up with was reasonable, and that's why we bought the building. And so just more things to think about when you travel down this road. Now let's get back to where we were.